my name's Stephanie Fosh. I'm the Managing Director of Pure Human Resources, and we're talking about recruitment within businesses. The key to a successful recruiting process was lots of different elements. I think a lot of businesses forget that actually recruitment is a marketing exercise, but for people. Whilst you may not want the number of applicants that you have in because you need to manage them, actually that's what the exercise is for. It's reaching out to the market, finding people who have your skill sets and who are interested in applying for you, and enticing them enough that they're prepared to put in the time and effort to make that application to you. So at the moment, I'd say probably based on all my time in HR, it's never been more important to respond to candidates quickly. We see it all the time. Obviously gone are the days where you'd book your slot in the Daily Echo and send your advert off with a closing date. We're not a fan of closing dates ourselves. They don't really work. Pretty much people, when they apply, you need to be responding to them. You need to be sifting them, inviting them to a telephone or face-to-face interview, certainly within 48 hours of their application. Good people are going within days. So if you wait until you've got a pool of candidates, or wait to see if there's somebody else that you like just to compare them to, the chances are that first candidate will be gone. So timeliness is absolutely fundamental at the moment. People tend to forget what it's like to be a candidate, and I think we can all draw on experiences where we've not had a great candidate experience. Certainly, you felt like you've applied for stuff, you've disappeared into a black hole, you've waited a couple of weeks, and then you kind of form the assumption that you're just not going to be successful in terms of being shortlisted because you haven't heard. So actually, it's a customer experience, so you need to acknowledge your candidates. Ideally, you don't want to acknowledge them and say, if you don't hear from us, then you're automatically deleted, because that just doesn't feel like for the effort they're putting in, they're getting a response. So, as much as possible, do kind of go back and communicate with them. And it could be an automated message, but just try not to deal with everything in one go. And keep talking to them. People are human beings, and they will self-select as they go through the recruitment process to decide if and when you make them a job offer, whether they're going to accept that or not. Benefits are really important in this day and age, and they don't need to cost the earth. So certainly think about your working hours, thinking about your holiday entitlements, think about your working locations. Hybrid is the most frequently asked benefit that we see all the time. Certainly gone are the days where you can offer 20 days plus the 8 bank holidays, or 9 in this case. Do think about moving towards the 25, or if you can't move that far, maybe 23, but with incremental steps at maybe 1, 2 and 3 years as a bit of an incentive for people. Think about hospital cash plans. Obviously car parking on site is quite a fundamental one, but please don't put free tea and coffee on adverts, because it really looks like you're scraping the barrel around the benefits that you're offering. Culture is really important. At the end of the day, most of us, certainly those who work full time, need to work somewhere that they enjoy. We have to work, so it's good that we choose somewhere we're comfortable with, and we'll quite often spend more time with our work colleagues awake than we would with our families. So it's really important those two values align. And that doesn't need to necessarily be very formal, but it's things that generally people engage with are understanding what the business goals are, understanding what the goals are for them, having a clear job description, having reviews. A lot of businesses sometimes forget that, but actually just that regular catch up, and that doesn't need to be a long, big form to be completed, but it's just having dedicated time with one-on-one person going, how are things going, how's things at work, how's things maybe at home, all those sorts of things. But just the little benefits make a huge difference. Things like last week was National Employee Appreciation Day. So, just something along those lines. People like to be thanked, and they like thanks to be specific. So reward and recognition is really important. Well, certainly, the businesses we come across, we tend to find a lot of SMEs don't think about the metrics when it comes to recruitment or HR, and they're really important, like all other aspects of your business that you measure. So certainly I would want to be looking at cost per hire for each vacancy, and you need to include things like your time to do that, and lost opportunity. So if you're losing sales because you haven't got a salesperson in place, then actually that is part of those costs. I'd also look at time to fill as well. Certainly as a target for me, I would expect as an absolute latest that you have a vacancy filled within 30 working days, ideally 20, but there's no reason why you can't fill it much more efficiently. And again, obviously, the time to fill has a knock-on impact on the opportunity cost that you might lose as a result of having a vacancy. Yes, in this day and age, In the same way your customers can view you online digitally and all the other forums that they can do, the same happens from an employee perspective. If you have one employee who has a bad experience, they will go and tell a number of their friends, family, who will pass on that news, and the cascade talks about how you get a bad reputation as an employer. And the same thing happens around the recruitment process. So keeping people up to date with what's going on, communicating with them, telling them about the process they're going to be subjected to as part of the selection process, they're all really important, and they're just helping to create that really good candidate experience. And if people want to, it's so easy to find out stuff about you. So they can obviously go on Facebook and have a look. There's things like Glassdoor, which obviously is a platform where your candidates can actually vote and talk about how effective you are as part of the recruitment process. So there's lots of information out there in the public domain that you may not necessarily even own. So treating candidates with the respect and being courteous and being efficient and effective and being clear around what you want to do is really, really important. Well, there could be lots of reasons you're not finding candidates. Obviously, we tend to find that there aren't the number of applicants out there in the job market than there have been historically, not helped by cost of living increases, challenges in the marketplace, just purely because people will tend to think twice about moving if they're going to lose their length of service and other aspects that could be a potential risk for them going forward. So it's really, really important that they make a sound judgment when they move. So hence, recruitment pool's smaller. If you are not prepared to think about things like hybrid working, it'll probably make your pool even smaller, or your list of criteria becomes too excessive. It just keeps making your pool of candidates smaller and smaller, and obviously there's only a proportion of them looking at any one time. But certainly if you're struggling, things like we tend to find, at least put your salary on your job advert, ideally a band. If you're not prepared to put the actual amount, people will discount applying for jobs that don't have salary amounts on the advert. So that's an easy one. So you can up your candidate numbers then. Make sure it's got things like location, your hours of work, your benefits on your advert, but also play around with job titles. Something we do quite a lot. You'll tend to find what's a meaningful job title to you won't evoke the same reaction in the marketplace. So just think a little bit more laterally around what you might want to call it from an advertising perspective, because you can always call it something else internally. So our phone number is 01794 329 470. Have a look at our website, which is purehumanresources.co.uk. If you want to, you can have a click and you can click through to the applicant tracking system, which will show you the types of vacancies we've got live at any one moment in time. And we've also got some FIFO reviews around our services, or contact myself or Marta directly. Our info box email is info@purehumanresources.co.uk.